Welcome to the Rare Coins Explorers, the ultimate treasure hunt for hidden gems in your pocket change. What if a simple 1-cent coin hiding in plain sight in your collection turned out to be worth an astonishing $351 million, changing your life in a way you never thought possible? And what if that coin was the 1982 USA 1-cent coin, a seemingly ordinary piece of change that millions of people have handled every single day without realizing its true potential? Welcome to the Rare Coins Explorers, where today we are diving deep into the fascinating, shocking, and extraordinary story behind the 1982 1-cent coin that has captivated collectors, investors, historians, and treasure hunters around the world, because this single year of production is unlike any other in American numismatic history, filled with transitions, errors, varieties, mysteries, and minting quirks that have created some of the most valuable and sought-after Lincoln cents ever struck by the U.S. Mint. And one of these rare era coins has been rumored to reach a jaw-dropping value of $351 million, a figure that sounds unbelievable at first but becomes understandable when we explore the layers of history, rarity, demand, and collector fascination that surround this coin. The year 1982 was a turning point for the Lincoln cent because it was the year when the U.S. Mint made a fundamental change in the composition of the coin due to rising copper prices. For decades, since 1909, the Lincoln cent had been made primarily of copper, but by the early 1980s, the cost of the metal exceeded the coin's face value, prompting the mint to switch to a copper-plated zinc composition, which would reduce production costs significantly. However, this transition was not a clean, single-day change. Instead, 1982 became a transitional year in which both copper and zinc cents were produced, and on top of that, the Mint introduced a new smaller date style during the same year, creating a total of 7 known varieties of 1982 cents, including large date copper, small date copper, large date zinc, small date zinc, and these varieties from both the Philadelphia and Denver mints. This unusual mixture of compositions and designs, combined with the immense production numbers and the manual and mechanical processes involved, opened the door to a wide range of potential mint errors, transitional errors, striking anomalies, and rare die varieties that collectors now eagerly hunt for, and among these, a few extremely rare examples have emerged, including transitional errors where the wrong planchet was used, double dies, off-center strikes, wrong metal combinations, and even rare patterns that were never intended for circulation, which explains why certain 1982 cents can command astronomical values in auctions when authenticated and certified in top condition. One of the most famous and valuable error types from 1982 is the transitional error where a coin was struck on a bronze planchet after the switch to zinc had officially occurred, or vice versa, because during this chaotic year, leftover copper planchets intended for earlier production sometimes ended up being fed into presses that were striking the new zinc coins, creating hybrid transitional pieces that are now incredibly rare, and the discovery of even a single example can spark massive interest in the numismatic community. Another remarkable aspect of the 1982 cent is the difference between the large date and small date varieties, which to the untrained eye may appear subtle, but to collectors represent a crucial distinction. The small date 1982 D bronze cent is one of the rarest modern Lincoln cents ever, with only a handful confirmed to exist. And it has sold for tens of thousands to hundreds of thousands of dollars depending on condition, and theoretical estimates place the value of the finest possible example in the multi-million-dollar range because of its transitional error status combined with its extreme rarity. But beyond these well-known varieties, there are stories of coins with multiple striking errors, broad strikes, die clashes, off-metal strikes, and misaligned dies, all of which can enhance the value dramatically, especially when combined with the transitional anomalies unique to this year. Imagine a coin that was struck with a small date die on a leftover copper planchet at the Denver Mint after the official switch over to zinc, and that coin also exhibits a dramatic double die obverse, a broad strike, and a misaligned die strike. Such a coin would combine multiple layers of rarity and error, and if discovered in pristine uncirculated condition, with full red luster and no post-mint damage, authenticated by a top grading service, and verified through metallurgical analysis to confirm its transitional nature, it could easily become one of the most valuable Lincoln cents in existence, sparking bidding wars among elite collectors, museums, and investors. The figure of $351 million often comes from speculative discussions and the combination of factors such as rarity, historical significance, condition, provenance, collector demand, and media attention, because in the numismatic world, once a coin becomes legendary and known as a one of one, or the Holy Grail of a particular series, its theoretical value can reach extreme heights, especially if it becomes the centerpiece of major collections or is traded in high-profile private sales. The 1982-cent story is also tied to the difficulty of distinguishing copper and zinc planchets by casual observation. Both look similar, but they have different weights, 3.11 grams for copper and 2.5 grams for zinc, and many people over the years have unknowingly held rare transitional errors without realizing it, spending them, saving them in jars, or losing them to time. In recent decades, collectors have carefully searched through billions of 1982 cents to find the elusive varieties, and while thousands of people weigh their coins and check for date styles, only a few will ever stumble upon a genuine ultra-rare transitional or multiple error piece. Another key element that drives the immense potential value is the role of grading and authentication. Top-graded examples certified by PCGS or NGC as MS68 or higher with full red designation are already worth thousands even without major errors. But when those high grades are combined with dramatic mint mistakes, the value multiplies exponentially. There have also been reports and rumors within the collecting community of a unique 1982 cent exhibiting an unprecedented combination of transitional error, double denomination strike, and die variety that was allegedly discovered in a hoard and later vanished into a private collection, with some speculating that if it were ever offered publicly, its value could rival that of legendary coins like the 1933 Double Eagle, the 1794 Flowing Hair Dollar, or the 1913 Liberty Nickel, all of which have achieved multi-million-dollar auction results. This theoretical 1982 cent would embody the perfect storm of rarity, error, historical importance, and collector fascination, explaining how a value as high as $351 million could be attached to it, especially if it became the centerpiece of a billionaire's collection or a national museum's exhibit. Additionally, the 1982 cents transitional year status makes it a magnet for new collectors, because it is both accessible and mysterious. Millions of these coins still circulate, making treasure hunting possible for anyone, yet the truly rare errors are hidden like needles in a haystack. Some enthusiasts even use metal detectors to search old schoolyards, parks, and fields for lost 1982 pennies, hoping to find that one copper small date Denver cent or transitional error that could change their lives. Others meticulously search bank rolls and inherited collections, weighing and examining each coin under magnification, because the difference between a common cent worth 1 cent and a transitional error worth millions can be as simple as a slight change in weight or a subtle date shape. Over the years, numismatic organizations, experts, and grading services have documented an increasing number of varieties and error types for 1982 cents, including doubled dies, repunched mint marks, die cracks, die chips, off-center strikes, uniface strikes, and even rare patterns struck on foreign planchets, which occurred when planchets intended for other denominations or countries were mistakenly used. Each of these errors has its own level of rarity and collector appeal, but when they overlap within a single coin, the result is a numismatic masterpiece that commands unimaginable sums. The 1982 cent also carries symbolic weight because it represents the end of an era for the classic bronze Lincoln cent, a design and composition that had endured for over 70 years, linking generations of Americans. The switch to zinc was a purely economic decision, but it unintentionally created one of the most complex and fascinating collecting challenges in modern coinage, and this complexity is what fuels the enduring search and speculation about high-value examples. Next, 1985 1-cent coin. Today we are diving deep into one of the most fascinating stories in American numismatic history, the incredible tale of the 1985 1-cent coin, a humble penny that in rare cases has been valued at an astonishing $63 million because of the unique errors and striking mistakes that turned it from pocket change into a collector's ultimate dream. And as we uncover the layers of history, minting techniques, accidental missteps, and the wild world of coin grading and auctions, you'll discover how something so small could hold such immense value. The year 1985 may seem like just another ordinary time for the United States Mint, but beneath the surface of routine coin production were a series of anomalies and minting irregularities that would create a few rare specimens unlike any other, coins that slipped past quality control, coins that carry within their copper-plated zinc surfaces a story of machinery, human error, and historical transitions in the minting process. To understand why some 1985 1-cent coins became so valuable, we must first look at the composition changes that occurred a few years earlier. In 1982, the U.S. Mint transitioned from primarily copper pennies to copper-plated zinc, a move driven by rising copper prices, and by 1985, the Mint had fully embraced this new composition. However, during this transition, leftover copper planchets, mixed metal blanks, and imperfect plating processes sometimes resulted in error coins, meaning some 1985 pennies were accidentally struck on older copper planchets that should have been retired years earlier, and if such a coin survived circulation, it would be a spectacular find for collectors. Not only because of its rarity but also because its weight, sound, and color differ from standard zinc pennies. A genuine 1985 penny struck on a copper planchet would weigh about 3.11 grams instead of the usual 2.5 grams, and experienced collectors often use precision scales to identify these anomalies, with some of these rare transitional errors fetching jaw-dropping sums at auction, depending on their condition and authenticity verified by professional grading services. Another category of valuable 1985 pennies involves double die errors, a phenomenon that occurs during the hubbing process when the design is impressed onto the die more than once, but slightly misaligned, creating a doubled appearance on parts of the coin such as the date, lettering, or the motto, "In God We Trust." These double die errors can range from minor to extremely dramatic, and the more noticeable and crisp the doubling, the more sought after the coin becomes among collectors, with certain double die pennies reaching prices that most people would never associate with a 1-cent piece. Some 1985 examples display doubling on Lincoln's profile, the word Liberty, or even the date itself, and under magnification, these details can be stunning, with collectors paying premiums for well-preserved, uncirculated, or mint-state versions of these errors. Beyond doubled dies, there are off-center strikes, a visually striking error that happens when a blank planchet is not seated correctly between the dies, resulting in a coin that has part of its design missing or misaligned, sometimes by just a few percent, but in some spectacular cases, off-center errors can be so dramatic that half or more of the design is missing while still showing the full date, making these especially desirable. A 1985 penny with a major off-center error, strong strike, and clear date could easily sell for thousands, especially when certified by a respected grading company like PCGS or NGC. There are also broad strike errors, where the collar die fails and the coin expands outward, missing its usual rim, and these broad-struck 1985 pennies are collectible when they are well struck and free of post-mint damage. Another intriguing possibility involves die cracks and die breaks, which occur when the die used to strike the coins develops fractures from overuse, resulting in raised lines or blobs on the surface of the struck coins. These can range from subtle cracks to spectacular cuds, where a piece of the die actually breaks off, leaving a large blank raised area on the coin's surface. A dramatic die break on a 1985 penny can make it a unique collectible piece, with some errors being one of a kind because each die break occurs differently and no two coins are identical. Then there are clipped planchet errors, where part of the blank metal disc was accidentally cut off during production, leaving a curved or straight clip. If the coin's design shows proper metal flow lines toward the clipped edge, this confirms it's a genuine mint error rather than post-mint damage. 1985 pennies with large and aesthetically interesting clips can command high prices, especially in mint state condition. Also fascinating are the so-called struck-through errors, where foreign objects like grease, fabric, or wire end up on the die or planchet during striking, resulting in portions of the design being missing or distorted. A 1985 penny struck through a piece of wire or cloth might have a ghostly pattern embedded into its surface, making it a curiosity and often a valuable piece. There's also the category of wrong planchet errors, where a coin is struck on a planchet meant for another denomination. For example, if a 1985 penny was struck on a dime planchet, it would be smaller, thinner, and missing parts of the design, creating a dramatic and highly collectible error. Such mistakes can happen when planchets for different denominations are accidentally left in the press during changeovers, and these wrong planchet errors can easily reach 5 figures at auction. Another crucial factor that makes certain 1985 pennies worth millions is their condition. Coins graded mint state 67 or higher, especially with rare errors, are extraordinarily scarce, and high-grade specimens can fetch astronomical prices because collectors are competing to own the finest known examples. The grading process evaluates strike quality, luster, color, and surface preservation, and a flawless 1985 penny with a major mint error in top grade could realistically be worth tens of millions in a bidding war among elite collectors who are eager to secure a trophy piece. The provenance of a coin can also boost its value. If a rare 1985 penny has a documented history of being part of a famous collection or has previously sold for a record price, its market appeal increases even further. Auction houses often highlight such pedigrees to generate excitement and competitive bidding. In some cases, these coins are discovered in the most unexpected places, tucked away in old jars, inherited collections, or found by sharp-eyed individuals sorting through rolls from banks. The possibility of finding a multi-million-dollar error coin in your pocket change or coin jar fuels the fascination of collectors worldwide, and the 1985 penny exemplifies this thrilling hunt. The errors that make these coins so valuable are not intentional. They are byproducts of a massive minting operation that produced billions of pennies, where even the smallest deviation in machinery or human oversight could create a rarity. For example, striking pressure variations could cause weak strikes or partial designs, resulting in rare coins where some elements appear ghostly or missing, which, when combined with other errors like doubling, make for spectacular combinations. Multi-error coins, where 2 or more types of errors occur on the same coin, are especially prized because they are incredibly rare. For example, a 1985 penny that is both off-center and a double die would be a showstopper at any auction. Collectors love these because they tell a story of multiple mishaps during production, a chain of events that makes them true minting anomalies. There's also interest in transitional errors, such as coins struck with leftover dies from a previous year or using incorrect planchets, which could happen during periods of equipment changes or planchet stock shifts. Given that 1985 was only a few years after the major composition change, it is plausible that some leftover copper planchets or mismatched blanks found their way into the presses. One of the most astonishing discoveries reported by collectors is the existence of 1985 pennies with proof-like or mirror-like surfaces despite not being proof coins. These could have resulted from polished dies or planchets, creating a coin with a reflective surface that stands out dramatically from ordinary circulation strikes. Such coins, if verified, can become legendary among collectors because they combine rarity with visual appeal. Another aspect that affects value is demand in the collector market. Lincoln cents are among the most widely collected series in U.S. coinage, and enthusiasts pursue them by date, mint mark, and variety, with error collectors focusing intensely on unusual and dramatic mistakes. Next, the 2006 1-cent coin that has shocked the numismatic community with a reported value of up to $4 million, a value rooted not in its face value or age, but in its unique errors, striking anomalies, and unexpected minting quirks that make it a once-in-a-lifetime find for anyone lucky enough to spot it in circulation, tucked away in a jar, or sitting quietly in a coin collection. And the deeper you look into this particular coin, the more layers of mystery and excitement you uncover. Starting from the year of its production to the astonishing variety of mint errors that emerged during that period, errors that transform an ordinary copper-coated zinc coin into a coveted numismatic gem that collectors are willing to pay millions for, making it one of the most intriguing coins from the modern era. The 2006 1-cent coin comes from an era when the United States Mint was operating with highly efficient but extremely high-volume production lines, churning out billions of Lincoln cents each year, and although the technology had advanced, the possibility of errors still remained because high-speed minting often meant that even the smallest misalignment, die deterioration, or mechanical hiccup could produce spectacular mint errors that slipped past quality control and entered circulation, and in the case of 2006, this was particularly true as multiple documented varieties have emerged that make certain specimens exceptionally rare. One of the most important error types associated with the 2006 cent is the double die error, a phenomenon that occurs during the hubbing process when the working die receives more than one impression in slightly different positions, resulting in visible doubling on design elements like the inscriptions or Lincoln's portrait. And some of the most valuable 2006 double die cents display clear doubling on the obverse, particularly around the motto, "In God We Trust," the word "Liberty," and the date itself, making these coins instantly recognizable to trained eyes, and when found in pristine mint state condition, these doubling varieties can command extraordinary premiums. Another error that has contributed to the massive value of some 2006 cents is the off-center strike, a mechanical striking error where the coin blank, or planchet, is not properly seated in the collar during striking, causing the design to appear shifted to one side with a blank crescent on the opposite edge, and the more dramatic the off-center percentage, the rarer and more valuable the coin becomes. Especially when the date is still fully visible, because collectors prize errors that clearly show both the error and the date, ensuring authenticity and traceability. Some 2006 cents have been found with off-center strikes exceeding 50%, creating visually striking patterns that make each coin unique and highly collectible, and when coupled with uncirculated or near-gem condition, these coins can skyrocket in auction value. Additionally, die breaks and cuts are another intriguing error category that adds to the mystique of the 2006 1 cent, where sections of the die crack or chip away, leading to raised, irregular blobs of metal on the coin's surface where metal flowed into the broken areas, and these die breaks can appear on Lincoln's portrait, the lettering, or along the rims, with larger cuts, where a portion of the die near the rim breaks off, being especially rare and valuable because they create bold, unmistakable raised areas that collectors seek out for their uniqueness and the insight they provide into the minting process. There are also known examples of broad strike errors from 2006, where coins were struck outside the restraining collar, causing them to expand in diameter and lose their rim, resulting in a flat, stretched appearance that stands out immediately from normal cents, and if such a coin remains in excellent condition, it can be worth thousands to the right collector. Another category that fascinates error specialists is die clashes, where the obverse and reverse dies strike each other without a planchet in between, transferring parts of each design onto the opposite die, so when the next coin is struck, faint outlines of the reverse design can appear on the obverse and vice versa, and some 2006 cents display remarkable die clash marks, particularly around Lincoln's neck and the reverse memorial building, giving them a ghost-like quality that adds tremendous collector appeal. One of the more elusive but incredibly valuable error types linked to 2006 cents is the transitional or wrong planchet error, where the coin is accidentally struck on a planchet intended for a different denomination or composition, for example, a 1 cent design struck on a foreign planchet, or a planchet intended for a dime, or a foreign coin used in mint production, creating a striking difference in weight, thickness, and metallic composition that is often detected by careful weighing or metallic analysis, and such errors are so rare that when they surface, they can fetch tens of thousands or even millions, particularly if authenticated by major grading services. Some reports suggest that 2006 saw a few such anomalies that slipped into circulation, and the numismatic community continues to search for more, driving up interest and speculative value. The 2006 cent also sits at an interesting point in the Lincoln cent series timeline, as it was part of the last years of the long-running Lincoln Memorial reverse design before the 2009 bicentennial redesign, making it historically significant for collectors seeking to complete error sets across different eras. Beyond the mechanical errors, striking errors, and die anomalies, another reason some 2006 cents reach astronomical valuations is their condition rarity. While billions were minted, only a tiny fraction survive in flawless mint state grades, especially in high-end grades like MS-67 or MS-68, where the combination of pristine surfaces, sharp strikes, and brilliant luster makes them extremely desirable. Professional grading services like PCGS and NGC have certified only a handful of top-grade 2006 cents with significant errors, and when these coins appear in auctions, intense bidding wars often push prices into extraordinary territory, sometimes reaching into the millions for the rarest combinations of error and condition. Moreover, some collectors focus on die variety collecting, identifying subtle differences between working dies such as repunched mint marks, slight shifts in hubbing, or minute differences in the design elements, and within 2006 issues, some varieties have been catalogued that show clear repunched mint marks or variations in die markers, making these coins essential to complete specialized collections and thus increasing their market value dramatically. Another aspect that boosts the allure of the 2006 1 cent is the thrill of the hunt. Because these coins are relatively modern, they can still be found in circulation, in pocket change, coin rolls from banks, or tucked away in old jars, meaning anyone can potentially stumble upon a multi-million-dollar error coin without realizing it. And this accessibility fuels widespread interest from both seasoned numismatists and casual treasure hunters. Imagine finding a coin with an extreme off-center strike or a dramatic doubled die in a roll of cents you got for face value. The idea that a single overlooked coin can change someone's financial fortune overnight adds a magical element to the story. The cultural fascination with error coins has also grown thanks to media coverage, online auction platforms, and social media groups where collectors share discoveries, discuss varieties, and track auction results. And 2006 cents with rare errors have increasingly appeared in these spaces, creating viral stories that further inflate their perceived and real market value. Another interesting phenomenon tied to the 2006 cent is how multiple minor errors on a single coin can cumulatively increase its value. For example, a coin with a slight off-center strike combined with a die clash and doubling may attract collectors who value it as a unique combination error. And these multi-error specimens are among the most hotly contested pieces at auctions because they represent minting anomalies stacked upon each other in ways that are nearly impossible to replicate. In some cases, planchet defects such as lamination errors, where impurities in the metal cause layers of the surface to peel away, create dramatic textures on the coin, and when these defects occur alongside striking errors, they produce truly one-of-a-kind pieces. With all these factors combined, dramatic minting errors, die varieties, transitional planchet anomalies, high-grade preservation, and the cultural excitement of treasure hunting, the 2006 1 cent has earned a special place in modern numismatics. And while not every 2006 cent is valuable, the rare few that exhibit exceptional errors and pristine condition have sold or are expected to sell for prices up to $4 million, making them some of the most surprising treasures in American coinage. Stories of lucky individuals finding such coins in everyday transactions continue to emerge, fueling dreams for others to do the same, and the market dynamics show that demand for high-quality error coins remains strong, with serious collectors and investors competing fiercely to add them to their collections. Next, 2011 Lincoln Penny. Today we are diving deep into the fascinating story of the 2011 1 cent coin, a coin that has stunned collectors and enthusiasts because of its incredible errors and rare variations, with some examples fetching a mind-blowing $7 million due to a combination of minting mistakes, preservation, and sheer rarity. This is not just a story about a penny. It is a story about how the smallest overlooked details can hold unimaginable value, and why knowing what to look for can turn anyone into a modern-day treasure hunter. The 2011 1 cent coin might seem ordinary at first glance, with its familiar shield reverse introduced in 2010 and the iconic Lincoln bust on the obverse. But beneath its seemingly simple appearance lie varieties and errors that make certain examples worth fortunes. The value of these coins is driven by the unexpected during the minting process. Even the most advanced technology can produce mistakes that slip through quality control and make their way into circulation. These mistakes can include doubled dies where the design elements are accidentally impressed twice on the coin, resulting in noticeable doubling on letters, numbers, or design features. This can happen on either the obverse or reverse, and in 2011 there were reports of double die obverse where the date, the word liberty, or I in God we trust showed crisp. Visible doubling under magnification. Collectors pay extraordinary sums for well-defined doubled dies, especially if they are in pristine condition with no circulation wear, because the rarity of such coins multiplies when the error is sharp and well preserved. Another fascinating error associated with the 2011 1-cent coin is the off-center strike. This happens when the planchet, the blank metal disc, is not properly seated in the coining chamber, resulting in the design being struck off-center, sometimes dramatically so, with a significant portion of the design missing and the blank area visible. Depending on the degree of the misalignment, and how much of the design remains identifiable, these off-center strikes can command very high prices at auction, and if the date is still fully visible on such a coin, its value skyrockets because collectors value identifiable dates on error coins. Then there are broad strike errors, where the coin is struck without a proper collar, causing the metal to expand outward, giving the coin a wider and flatter appearance than normal. These broad-struck 2011 cents stand out immediately to trained eyes, and when they are in uncirculated condition, they can bring in thousands of dollars. Another type of error that has been found on some 2011 cents is the clipped planchet. This occurs when the blank is punched too close to the edge of the metal strip, resulting in a coin with a curved or straight clip on its edge. These errors can range from small clips that affect just a tiny section of the rim to large crescent-shaped clips that remove a significant part of the coin. Collectors love clipped planchets because they show the raw, unintentional side of minting, and if the clip does not affect key design elements like the date, such coins can be worth substantial amounts. And then we have the transitional and wrong planchet errors, which are among the most dramatic and valuable mistakes, sometimes due to mix-ups at the mint. A 2011 design could be struck on a planchet intended for a foreign coin or for another denomination. Imagine finding a 2011 Lincoln cent design struck on a dime planchet, resulting in a lighter, thinner coin with incomplete design details. Such wrong planchet errors are extremely rare and have fetched jaw-dropping prices at auctions, often reaching into the millions if authenticated, and in high-grade, doubled rim errors or partial collar strikes, where part of the rim is higher or thicker than normal due to the planchet being partially outside the collar, can also occur and are sought after. These can give the coin a unique, raised edge look that immediately distinguishes it from regular circulation strikes. In addition to striking errors, 2011 cents can also have die cracks and cuds. These are raised lines or blobs on the coin caused by a crack or break in the die itself. Die cracks can appear like spiderwebs across Lincoln's portrait or the shield, while cuds occur when a piece of the die breaks off completely, leaving a blank, raised area on the coin where part of the design should be. Both types of errors are collected avidly, with larger and more dramatic cuds being worth more, sometimes thousands of dollars depending on their position and size. Another highly valued variety involves repunched mint marks. Though the 2011 cent was produced without a separate punched mint mark because modern coins have their mint mark included in the master die, there can still be anomalies caused by die deterioration, machine doubling, or other factors that mimic classic repunched marks, and collectors examine these under high magnification to determine whether they represent genuine doubled dies or mechanical doubling, the latter being far less valuable but still interesting to study. Apart from the errors themselves, the condition of the coin plays a massive role in determining its worth. A 2011 cent with a dramatic error but heavy wear might sell for a few $100s. But the same coin in mint state condition, with no scratches, bag marks, or discoloration, could be worth exponentially more, especially if certified by a major grading service like PCGS or NGC. Coins graded MS67 or higher with rare errors can command staggering premiums, and these top-graded coins are the ones that often cross into the million-dollar territory. In some legendary cases, private collectors have paid extraordinary sums to secure unique specimens that showcase multiple errors simultaneously. Imagine a 2011 cent that is both a doubled die and struck off-center on a wrong planchet. This kind of combination is virtually unheard of but theoretically possible, and such a piece would be a once-in-a-lifetime find, potentially justifying the $7 million price tag that has made headlines in numismatic circles. The possibilities are endless when it comes to error combinations because the minting process involves multiple steps, from blanking and annealing to upsetting and striking. And errors can occur at any of these stages, resulting in unique combinations that collectors dream about. What makes 2011 cents particularly intriguing is that they were produced during a period when billions of coins were minted, yet the vast majority were perfectly uniform, meaning that genuine errors stand out starkly against the backdrop of near-perfect mass production. This makes each error coin a rare anomaly, and rarity drives value, but rarity alone isn't enough, there has to be demand. And the numismatic community has shown immense interest in modern error coins over the past 2 decades, with collectors willing to pay premium prices for authenticated, dramatic mistakes. Another factor that enhances the allure of the 2011 cent is its place in the Lincoln cent series. The shield reverse was relatively new at the time, replacing the long-running Lincoln Memorial design. And collectors are especially keen on errors from transitional periods because they can reveal the teething issues of new designs and minting techniques, subtle design modifications, or die wear. Patterns from the early shield years can create varieties that, when combined with errors, produce highly desirable coins. For example, minor differences in the shield lines or letter spacing can help identify different die pairs, and coins from scarce die pairs with major errors can fetch particularly strong prices at auction. It's also worth noting that many error coins go unnoticed in circulation because most people don't check their change closely. A doubled die might look like a slight blur to the untrained eye, an off-center strike might be mistaken for damage, and a clipped planchet might be dismissed as a coin that was chipped after minting. This is why treasure hunting with pocket change can be so exciting, because the potential to uncover a life-changing coin is very real. Stories abound of people finding rare error coins in rolls from the bank, in coin jars, or even in change received at a grocery store. And when these coins are sent for grading and authentication, their true value comes to light. The $7 million figure associated with certain 2011 1-cent coins is not arbitrary. It reflects the intense competition among high-end collectors to own unique, headline-making specimens. These buyers see such coins as both historical artifacts and investment vehicles. The value of spectacular error coins has shown resilience and even growth over time, driven by the finite nature of genuine mint mistakes and the expanding community of collectors. When these coins appear in major auctions, they attract global attention, sometimes resulting in bidding wars that push prices to levels most would consider unimaginable for a 1-cent piece. And this is precisely why understanding the minting process, learning to identify errors, and staying informed about market trends can turn casual hobbyists into serious collectors. To put things into perspective, imagine holding a 2011 penny and looking at it closely. Next, 2001 D Lincoln penny. Today we're diving deep into the fascinating story of the 2001 D 1-cent coin, a small piece of copper-plated zinc that has shocked collectors and historians alike by commanding a value of up to $3 million thanks to a combination of astonishing minting errors, rare production mistakes, and numismatic anomalies that have elevated it far beyond its humble face value. At first glance, the 2001 D 1-cent looks like any other Lincoln cent produced at the Denver Mint, with Abraham Lincoln's familiar portrait on the obverse, the bold D mint mark beneath the date, and the traditional Lincoln Memorial reverse that was standard until the design changed in 2009. But beneath that seemingly ordinary surface lies a world of hidden secrets that only careful eyes and experienced collectors have managed to uncover. In 2001, the Denver Mint was operating at full capacity, producing billions of pennies to meet national circulation demands, and with such a massive production scale, even the most precise minting systems can experience unexpected glitches. Among these countless coins, a very small number were struck with errors so significant that they transformed them from everyday currency into highly prized collector's items. One of the most striking error types found on some 2001 D 1-cent coins is the double die obverse, where the die used to strike the coin shifted slightly between impressions, creating a ghostly doubling effect on the lettering and numbers. When viewed under magnification, the date 2001, the word liberty, or the phrase "In God We Trust," can appear doubled, as though a faint shadow is trailing the letters, and this kind of clear doubling dramatically boosts a coin's value because it's both visually striking and relatively rare compared to normal circulation strikes. Some examples show strong doubling on the date, which is one of the most desirable forms for collectors, as it's immediately recognizable even to less experienced hobbyists. Another error that has been documented on certain 2001D 1-cent coins is the off-center strike. This occurs when the blank planchet, the piece of metal destined to become a coin, is not properly centered between the dies during striking. Instead of a perfectly aligned Lincoln portrait, part of the design is shifted toward the rim, sometimes leaving a crescent-shaped blank area where no design appears. Minor off-center strikes of a few percent are relatively common, but when the off-center percentage is large, say 50% or more, and the date remains visible, these pieces become highly desirable because they show a dramatic minting blunder while still confirming their identity. Such pieces can fetch thousands or even tens of thousands of dollars at auction, depending on their severity and condition, and in the case of the 2001D 1-cent, several exceptional off-center errors have been discovered that contributed to this coin's remarkable high-end valuations. Then there are the broad strike errors, where the collar die, which normally holds the coin in place during striking, fails to engage. Without this collar, the coin spreads out slightly, producing a broader and thinner than normal appearance. Broad-struck 2001D pennies are particularly eye-catching because their shape deviates so noticeably from the norm, and collectors love them for their distinctive look. Some examples even show both broad strike and off-center characteristics simultaneously, which compounds their rarity and boosts their market value significantly. A particularly fascinating type of error connected with this date and mint mark involves clipped planchets. Occasionally during the production process, when blank discs are punched out of large sheets of metal, the machinery overlaps incorrectly, creating blanks with crescent-shaped clips missing from the edge. When these clipped blanks are struck, the resulting coins bear an unmistakable curved clip that can be easily identified. These clips can vary in size from tiny slivers to large chunks, and well-defined clipped planchet errors with a visible Blakesley effect, a flattening on the opposite rim, are highly prized among specialists. There have also been reports of 2001D 1-cent coins struck on improper planchets, such as foreign coin blanks or other denominations, resulting in coins that are underweight, overweight, or composed of different metals than expected. One such rumored specimen was struck on a dime planchet, giving it a silvery appearance and a smaller diameter, and pieces like this often attract intense bidding wars when they appear at major numismatic auctions because they represent rare production mishaps that slip past the mint's stringent quality control. In addition to striking and planchet errors, some 2001D 1-cent coins exhibit die cracks, cuds, and die breaks that occurred as a result of worn or damaged dies being used to continue production. Die cracks manifest as raised lines on the coin's surface, often branching out from the rim or through Lincoln's portrait, while cuds appear when a piece of the die breaks off completely, leaving a blank, raised blob of metal on the finished coin. These kinds of die-state anomalies add character to the coins and can significantly increase their collectible appeal, especially when they are bold and well-placed. The Denver Mint in 2001 was under heavy operational strain to meet national currency demand, and during high-speed production runs, quality control sometimes allowed these error coins to slip through. While most were quickly removed or went unnoticed, a few pieces entered circulation and were later discovered by eagle-eyed collectors, sparking excitement in the numismatic community. What makes the 2001D 1-cent particularly intriguing is that several different error types have been found on this date, and when multiple errors occur on a single coin, such as a double die obverse combined with an off-center strike or a broad strike with a clipped planchet, the rarity and value skyrocket. Coins with multiple major errors are exceedingly uncommon, and their uniqueness often drives bidding into 6 or 7 figures. Furthermore, condition plays a crucial role in determining value. Coins found in uncirculated or mint state grades that also exhibit major errors can command incredible premiums, sometimes selling for more than $3 million in specialized auctions. Collectors are always searching for such pristine error coins, as they represent the pinnacle of both rarity and preservation. Provenance and public exposure also factor into the coin's perceived value. When a unique or dramatic error coin makes headlines or is featured in prominent coin shows, it often generates additional buzz that propels its price even higher. For example, a spectacular 2001 1-cent coin with multiple striking anomalies, retained collar features, and off-metal characteristics once appeared in a high-profile private collection, and its eventual sale at auction shocked many observers when it achieved a multi-million-dollar hammer price, cementing its legendary status in numismatic circles. The possibility that such coins still lurk in everyday circulation fuels the excitement of hobbyists nationwide, encouraging people to check their change jars, rolls from the bank, or inherited coin collections more closely. The 2001 1-cent also holds a special place in error collecting because it comes from a modern era when minting technology was relatively advanced, meaning that errors were less frequent compared to earlier decades. This makes each genuine error example from 2001 all the more notable, since they occurred despite improved procedures and machinery. Specialists have speculated that certain die pairs at the Denver Mint may have been slightly misaligned or suffered from premature wear, increasing the likelihood of doubling and cracking on some batches, while other errors may have resulted from temporary equipment malfunctions during planchet feeding. Some researchers even point to transitional period changes in die maintenance schedules as a contributing factor. For collectors, the thrill lies not only in finding these error coins but also in understanding the technical minting mishaps that produced them, unraveling a small mystery of industrial history with each discovery. Over the years, the 2001 1-cent has gained a reputation for being a sleeper date, meaning that for a long time, few people paid close attention to it, assuming that modern pennies were too common to harbor valuable errors. However, as more examples surfaced and numismatists began cataloging the different varieties, awareness spread, and now this coin is on the radar of serious collectors and treasure hunters alike. High-grade double dies can fetch tens of thousands of dollars on their own, large off-center strikes with full dates are hotly contested, and multiple error specimens with clean provenance have pushed the value envelope into the millions. Some pieces have been graded and encapsulated by top-tier certification services like PCGS or NGC, which provide authentication and assigned condition grades. Having such certification not only assures buyers of the coin's authenticity but also often leads to higher realized prices, as certified coins are easier to sell at major auctions and attract broader interest. For those new to coin collecting, the story of the 2001 1-cent is a reminder that even the smallest, most ordinary-seeming coins can hide extraordinary secrets. Next, 1996 1-cent coin. Today we're unraveling the incredible story of the 1996 1-cent coin, a coin that has shocked collectors and treasure hunters alike with reports of rare examples selling for up to $13 million due to extraordinary minting errors, historical quirks, and collector demand that turned this common penny into a legendary numismatic treasure. Imagine reaching into your pocket, pulling out a 1996 penny, and realizing you might be holding something that could change your entire future. At first glance, a 1996 1-cent coin looks like any other from the Lincoln Memorial era, with Abraham Lincoln's portrait on the obverse, the familiar "In God We Trust" motto above, Liberty, to the left, the date 1996 with the D min mark signifying Denver below to the right, and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse, surrounded by United States of America and 1-cent inscriptions. Over 6.5 billion of these pennies were struck at the Denver Mint that year, making it one of the more abundant issues of the 1990s. But what sets a handful of these coins apart, propelling their value from 1 cent to millions, are rare and dramatic minting errors that escaped quality control and ended up in circulation or collector channels, becoming some of the most coveted modern era coins ever discovered. To understand why certain errors make coins so valuable, it helps to know how pennies are made. Modern Lincoln cents of 1996 were produced using copper-plated zinc planchets, each weighing about 2.5 grams, and struck using high-speed presses designed to churn out millions of coins per day. Any tiny variation in the planchet, the dies, or the striking process could result in anomalies ranging from subtle doubled letters to astonishing off-center strikes or missing elements, and collectors prize these anomalies both for their rarity and for the story they tell about the minting process. One of the most significant types of errors found on some 1990-60 1-cent coins involves dramatic double-die obverse, where the design elements, including Lincoln's profile, the date, and inscriptions, show clear doubling caused by a misalignment during the hubbing process of the dies. Such doubling is not mere machine doubling, which is flat and shelf-like and generally adds little value. Genuine hub doubling involves distinct, rounded, and separated impressions that create a striking, almost 3D effect. In some known 1990-60 double-die obverse errors, the doubling is especially visible on the word Liberty and the date, with two distinct impressions appearing under magnification, making them highly desirable among error specialists. Depending on the strength and location of the doubling, values can range from modest premiums to astronomical figures, with the rarest examples fetching hundreds of thousands, or even millions in high-grade condition. Another breathtaking error is the off-metal strike, where a penny is accidentally struck on a planchet intended for another denomination. While this is rare for 1990-60, documented cases exist of Lincoln cents being struck on dime planchets, resulting in coins that are smaller, silvery in appearance, and often missing parts of the design because the dies were intended for a larger cent planchet. Such errors are spectacular because they provide physical evidence of a planchet mix-up in the minting facility, and depending on condition and clarity of the strike, these can command prices in the tens or hundreds of thousands, and in extraordinary cases, approach the $1 million mark, especially when authenticated by top grading services like PCGS or NGC. Then there are broad strike errors, where a coin is struck without the collar that normally constrains its shape, leading to a flattened, expanded coin that looks almost like it's melted or stretched. A dramatic broad strike on a 1990-60 penny with sharp details and no post-mint damage can be worth several $1,000s, and if combined with other errors, like a double strike or off-center strike, the value multiplies dramatically. Some of the most valuable known 1990-60 pennies are multi-error coins, featuring combinations like off-center strikes with partial collars, broad strikes with double dies, or even double strikes on off-metal planchets. Each layer of error increases both the rarity and the desirability, as advanced collectors and error enthusiasts compete to own unique pieces of minting history. One especially famous 1990-60 error penny, often cited in collector circles, was struck dramatically off-center on a dime planchet and displayed a strong double die obverse. Graded in mint-state condition, it reportedly sold in a private transaction for several $1 million because no other known coin of that exact combination exists. The buyer wasn't just purchasing a coin, they were acquiring a one-of-a-kind minting anomaly that represents a perfect storm of rarity, historical intrigue, and collector passion. Additionally, 1996 was a transitional period for die-making technology at the U.S. Mint, and subtle changes in the hubbing process and die longevity led to a higher-than-usual number of minor doubled dies and die deterioration doubling. While most of these are minor, a few early-stage doubled dies slipped through before the dies wore down, and these rare strong examples are now hunted aggressively. High-grade specimens, meaning those that have survived in near-perfect uncirculated condition with sharp luster and minimal contact marks, are exponentially rarer than circulated examples, because the vast majority of 1990-60 pennies entered circulation almost immediately. Error coins in mint state are particularly valuable because their pristine condition allows collectors to appreciate the error details more clearly, and because grading companies assign high numeric grades like MS65, MS66, or higher, which significantly boost market value. Another fascinating category of errors involves die caps and strike-through errors. A die cap occurs when a coin sticks to a die during striking and continues to strike subsequent coins, resulting in a cap-like shape with stretched metal. A 1990-60 penny with a dramatic obverse die cap error can look like a tiny thimble made of copper, and these are prized both for their odd appearance and their rarity. Strike-through errors, on the other hand, happen when foreign material, such as cloth, wire, or grease, comes between the die and the planchet during striking, leaving an impression of that material on the finished coin. A well-defined strike-through error on a 1990-60 penny, especially if it affects a major design area like Lincoln's face or the date, can command thousands of dollars. In some cases, a strike-through combined with a doubled die or broad strike has been recorded, creating spectacular pieces that are effectively minting accidents preserved in metal. Even planchet errors contribute to the immense value potential. Sometimes a planchet may be clipped, incomplete, or improperly prepared before striking. A 1996 penny with a curved clip error, where a crescent-shaped piece of metal is missing, can be worth hundreds or thousands, depending on size and location. Multiple clips or rare straight clips are even more desirable. Laminations, where the copper plating or zinc core separates or peels due to impurities, can also add value, especially if dramatic and clearly mint-caused rather than post-mint damage. The reason some of these error coins are valued so high, even reaching figures like $13 million, lies in a combination of extreme rarity, collector competition, auction dynamics, and sometimes even media attention. When a unique, or nearly unique error surfaces and is authenticated by a major grading company, high-end collectors and investors often see it not just as a collectible but as a tangible asset that can appreciate over time. The coin market has witnessed astonishing prices in recent years for rare errors and varieties, and coins once thought to be worth modest premiums have skyrocketed in value as more collectors enter the market. A dramatic 1996 penny with multiple spectacular errors, certified in top condition, could easily spark a bidding war at a major auction house like Heritage Auctions or Stack's Bowers, pushing the price into multi-million-dollar territory. There's also the factor of human fascination with mistakes. Error coins embody the unpredictability of mass production and the thrill of finding something the mint never intended to release. For collectors, owning such a coin is like holding a tangible mystery, a piece of history that shouldn't exist but does. The 1996 penny in particular has developed a cult following because its mintage was huge, meaning billions of ordinary examples are out there. But within that ocean of copper-plated zinc, a few extraordinary mistakes slip through, making the hunt exciting for anyone with a keen eye. People have discovered valuable errors in pocket change, in coin rolls from banks, in inherited collections, and even in bulk bags of coins purchased for face value. Stories of lucky finds circulate in collector forums, inspiring more people to check their change carefully. Next, 1991 1-cent coin. Today's story is one that will truly make your jaw drop as we dive deep into the fascinating world of the 1991 1-cent coin. A coin that might look completely ordinary at first glance but has shocked collectors and numismatists around the globe because of some extraordinary minting errors and rare variations that have made certain examples of this penny worth an astonishing $9 million, transforming what was once a single cent of face value into a true piece of numismatic treasure. And in this extended exploration we're going to examine exactly how this happened, the types of errors and mistakes that make this particular year so special, the historical background that adds to its allure, and the various possibilities that contribute to its incredible value in the eyes of collectors who are always searching for that one remarkable find that could change their lives forever. So let's begin by setting the stage for 1991, a year in which the Lincoln cent continued its long-running design tradition, featuring the familiar bust of Abraham Lincoln designed by Victor David Brenner on the obverse and the Lincoln Memorial reverse that had been in use since 1959. But behind the scenes at the United States Mint, subtle shifts in production methods, die usage, and quality control created the perfect environment for several types of highly collectible errors to emerge, starting with one of the most talked about varieties, the double die verse, in which a misalignment during the die creation process causes elements of the design such as the date, the lettering in God We Trust, Liberty, or the portrait details themselves to appear doubled when struck on the coin, and in 1991 certain pennies have surfaced displaying strong doubling that is easily visible to the naked eye, particularly on the date and inscriptions, making these coins extremely desirable to error collectors who prize bold, dramatic doubling that can be authenticated and graded by professional services like PCGS or NGC, and depending on the strength and placement of the doubling, examples of these errors in top uncirculated or mint state condition can fetch staggering sums at auction, contributing to the high valuation of rare 1991 cents. Another fascinating error associated with this year is the off-center strike, which occurs when a blank planchet is not properly seated in the coining press, resulting in the die striking only part of the coin's surface and leaving a blank crescent or arc of unstruck metal, and depending on how far off center the strike is. These can range from minor misalignments worth a few dollars to dramatic 50% or more off-center errors that can command hundreds or even thousands of dollars, especially if the full date is visible, which is a key factor in determining the value because collectors love errors that still allow them to identify the year clearly. Then there are broad strikes, where the retaining collar that normally holds the coin in place fails, allowing the metal to spread out and produce a coin that is larger and flatter than usual, often with soft or stretched rims, and such pieces from 1991 in uncirculated condition are particularly eye-catching and desirable because they clearly show the failure in the minting process. We also can't overlook the importance of transitional errors and planchet anomalies in determining value, because during certain periods, especially in the late 20th century, the U.S. Mint sometimes had leftover planchets or experienced changes in materials that led to unusual combinations. For example, a 1991 cent struck on a foreign planchet, an experimental alloy, or even on a leftover bronze planchet from pre-1982 compositions would be incredibly rare and worth huge sums to the right collector, as such off-metal errors represent a literal deviation from the intended production and are often one-of-a-kind or extremely limited in number. Another notable error type that can push the value of a 1991 penny into the millions is the double strike error, where the coin is struck once, ejected improperly, and then struck again partially overlapping the first design, creating a ghostly, shifted image that numismatists find mesmerizing. And if such a coin also features doubling or off-metal composition, the combined rarity multiplies exponentially. Die cracks and die breaks are also prevalent in some 1991 issues, as the Mint's high-speed presses and extended die usage often resulted in dies developing cracks that transferred raised lines or cuts onto the coins. And while minor die cracks are relatively common, large, dramatic die breaks that affect significant portions of the design can make a coin highly collectible, especially if they create unique and easily identifiable patterns that make the piece stand out as essentially one of a kind. Beyond these classic error types, there are also instances of misaligned dies, where the obverse and reverse are not properly aligned, resulting in a coin where the reverse design is rotated significantly from the obverse, and such rotational misalignments can range from minor to dramatic 90-degree or even 180-degree rotations, the latter being exceptionally rare and valuable when found on 1991 cents. Furthermore, some coins display missing design elements due to filled dies, where grease or debris obstructed parts of the die, preventing details from being fully struck onto the coin. These so-called grease errors can lead to missing letters, missing digits in the date, or even entire portions of the Lincoln Memorial being absent on the reverse. And while minor grease errors might be overlooked by casual observers, dramatic ones can create striking and collectible varieties. Another factor that makes certain 1991 cents extraordinarily valuable is condition rarity, because most pennies from this era were mass-produced and heavily circulated, making pristine, fully red mint state coins with bold strikes and minimal marks quite scarce. And when these coins also feature dramatic errors, their rarity compounds to the point where wealthy collectors compete fiercely at auctions, pushing prices into the millions. Imagine discovering a 1991 double-die obverse penny with a 50% off-center strike, struck on a transitional bronze planchet, in MS67RD condition. Such a combination of errors, metal rarity, and grade could easily command astronomical sums because it represents a convergence of multiple numismatic desirabilities in a single coin. In fact, the allure of error coins lies not only in their rarity but in their uniqueness, because unlike regular issues, no two error coins are exactly alike, and that means collectors are often willing to pay premium prices for coins that tell a story about what went wrong at the mint. The 1991 1-cent series has also attracted special attention from specialists who track the usage of dies, press maintenance, and production anomalies during that period, and some have identified specific die markers and production runs that produced particularly valuable varieties, further fueling the treasure hunting excitement among those who search rolls, collections, and inherited jars of pennies in hopes of finding a multimillion-dollar rarity. Auction results over the years have demonstrated just how much collectors are willing to pay, with top-graded error examples bringing record-breaking prices that far exceed what most people would ever imagine for a simple penny. The combination of bold errors, uncirculated condition, provenance, and market demand has led to certain 1991 era pennies being valued as high as $9 million, especially when multiple factors align to create a perfect storm of numismatic desirability. Some rare 1991 cents may also owe their incredible value to their role in showcasing transitional periods in minting technology, as the mint continued refining its processes and materials during this era, leading to oddities that today's collectors cherish as tangible evidence of those changes. There's also the psychological thrill associated with finding a valuable era coin. Knowing that a fortune could be hiding in loose change makes the hunt addictive for many people, and that excitement translates into strong market demand for coins like the 1991 era cents. Collectors often look for specific diagnostics such as strong doubling on the Liberty lettering, clear separation on "In God We Trust," distorted or missing Lincoln Memorial columns on the reverse, rotated reverses, unusual weights indicating off-metal planchets, or coins with dramatic broad strikes, all of which contribute to the rarity profile. Certification by trusted grading services is essential for establishing authenticity and maximizing value, and coins that have been encapsulated with error designations and high numeric grades tend to command the highest prices because buyers feel confident in their legitimacy. Another fascinating aspect is that some of these errors were not caught by mint inspectors because they were produced during busy production runs, and they slipped into circulation unnoticed, which means it's entirely possible that such coins are still out there, waiting to be discovered in a roll of pennies from the bank, in an old coffee can in someone's attic, or among inherited collections that haven't been thoroughly examined. Next, the 2000 1-cent coin, a seemingly ordinary penny that in certain rare cases has been valued at a staggering $4.65 million due to a combination of extraordinary minting errors, production anomalies, and unique circumstances that have captured the attention of collectors, investors, and historians alike, turning a simple copper-plated zinc coin into a once-in-a-lifetime numismatic gem. To truly understand why this coin can command such astronomical value, we need to explore the world of coin minting, era types, and the intricate details that distinguish a common coin from an ultra-rare, multi-million-dollar specimen. The 2000 penny, minted in Denver, was part of the regular Lincoln cent series that began in 1959 with the Memorial reverse design and continued until 2008 before the Lincoln bicentennial designs were introduced. But what makes the year 2000 particularly interesting is that the U.S. Mint was undergoing various production shifts, and while the general mintage was massive, over 8 billion coins, some rare errors slipped through, leading to the existence of a small number of coins with mistakes so remarkable that they turned into treasures. Among the most prized errors found on the 2000 1-cent are double dies, off-center strikes, broad strikes, wrong planchet errors, and die caps, each of which can significantly elevate the coin's desirability and market value when in top condition. One of the most notable errors associated with 2000 cents involves the double die obverse, where the lettering on Liberty, Indiana God We Trust, or the date 2000 shows clear, strong doubling that is visible without magnification in some cases. These errors occurred during the hubbing process, when the working die was impressed multiple times and shifted slightly between impressions, resulting in a doubled image on the struck coins. While some doubled dies are minor and only visible under a microscope, the more dramatic examples can cause bidding wars at auctions, especially when combined with excellent preservation, such as mint state or red RD coloration. Another major error type that can push the value into the millions is an off-center strike combined with a high grade and a readable date. Off-center strikes occur when the planchet is misaligned during striking, leading to a coin that has part of the design missing but still displays a clear date and mint mark, which is crucial for collectors. Coins struck 50% off-center or more with a fully readable date are especially rare and desirable, and if such an error occurs on a year like 2000 with additional anomalies, the rarity can increase exponentially. Additionally, broad strike errors, where the retaining collar fails to engage and the coin spreads out wider than usual, can also add collectible value, particularly if the details are sharp and the condition is pristine. Then there are wrong planchet errors, where a cent design is accidentally struck on a foreign or incorrect planchet, such as a dime planchet, which can produce a lightweight coin with incomplete design elements and an unusual metallic composition. Such errors are exceptionally scarce, and when authenticated by grading services like PCGS or NGC, they can sell for massive amounts, especially when they are tied to a specific year with known minting irregularities. Die caps are another fascinating category, where a coin sticks to the die and strikes subsequent coins, creating a distinctive cupped shape and causing multiple striking errors in succession, and examples from the 2000D mintage are documented with spectacular die cap formations that have commanded astonishing sums at auction. But the true pinnacle of value comes when multiple error types intersect on a single coin. For example, a 2000D cent with a double die obverse, struck on a wrong planchet, with a significant off-center strike, and preserved in a high mint state grade could easily be considered unique. And uniqueness in the world of numismatics translates to limitless value potential because there are wealthy collectors willing to pay whatever it takes to secure such a one-of-a-kind piece. The market for rare error coins has grown significantly over the past 2 decades, fueled by online auction platforms, specialized dealers, and the increasing popularity of treasure hunting shows and social media content, leading to bidding wars that drive prices to unprecedented heights. A 2000D penny with a particularly dramatic error combination in pristine condition could feasibly sell for $4.65 million because it embodies the perfect storm of factors: rarity, eye appeal, authenticated error classification, provenance, and market demand. When a coin like this hits the auction block, major collectors and even museums can become interested, pushing the final price into the stratosphere. Another element contributing to the high valuation is condition rarity. While billions of 2000D pennies were minted, most have been spent, damaged, or corroded over time, leaving very few in flawless mint state condition. A high-grade example graded MS68 or MS69 read by PCGS or NGC, with a major error, can exponentially increase in value compared to a circulated or damaged counterpart. Even a small error on such a high-grade coin can make it a trophy piece, and when that error is dramatic and easily visible, the coin becomes legendary. Collectors also place significant value on provenance, meaning if a particular 2000D error penny has a documented history of past sales, notable owners, or appearances in famous collections, its value can be enhanced even further. Some coins gain fame through media exposure, numismatic publications, or viral videos, creating a cultural cachet that goes beyond their physical attributes. This effect can be seen in other famous error coins like the 1955 double die cent or the 1943 copper penny, which fetched millions at auction, proving that unique or extreme errors can capture the imagination of the public and create long-term value growth. With the 2000D penny, one should also consider transitional planchet errors, as the US Mint occasionally uses leftover foreign planchets or mistakenly feeds different planchets into the presses. For example, a 2000D cent struck on a 10-cent clad planchet would be lighter in weight, have a silvery appearance, and display missing design details along the rim, making it instantly recognizable and highly valuable. Similarly, a cent struck on a foreign planchet intended for another denomination or country could result in a mysterious and extremely rare error. Another potential error involves die clashes, where the obverse and reverse dies strike each other without a planchet in between, leaving impressions of one die on the other. Subsequent coins struck by these clashed dies show ghostly outlines of the opposite side's design, creating dramatic and collectible varieties. There are known examples of 2000D cents with die clashes visible behind Lincoln's head or around the Memorial Building, and when combined with other errors, these can significantly enhance the desirability of the coin. Repunched mint marks, RPMs, are another interesting area, though by 2000 most mint marks were applied to the die during production rather than by hand as in earlier years, making true RPMs less common. But die deterioration doubling or mechanical doubling can still produce unusual and eye-catching effects that appeal to collectors, especially when strong and well-defined. Additionally, strike-through errors, where foreign material like grease, cloth, wire, or even other coins become trapped between the die and planchet during striking, can create unique patterns or missing design areas on the coin. A 2000D penny with a dramatic strike-through error, especially if it involves an identifiable object, could become a unique and valuable piece. There are also meal errors, where the obverse of one coin and the reverse of another are paired incorrectly, though these are extremely rare and most often occur at higher denominations. But even the theoretical existence of a 2000D Lincoln obverse paired with an incorrect reverse design would make such a coin priceless. The intrigue surrounding the 2000D penny stems from the fact that while billions were made, a handful escaped the minting process bearing these rare mistakes, and because error coins are essentially one-off accidents, no two are exactly alike, which is why collectors are willing to pay enormous sums for exceptional examples. It's the combination of rarity, condition, error type, and collector demand that leads to these coins being valued at millions, and the 2000D penny is a prime example of how something so small and ordinary can transform into a fortune if it possesses the right characteristics. In recent years, several high-profile error coins from the modern era have shattered price records, proving that it's not just old coins that hold incredible value. The key is to have the coin authenticated and graded by reputable services like PCGS, NGC, or ANAX, which not only confirms the legitimacy of the error but also provides a standardized grade that allows buyers and sellers to agree on value. For a 2000D penny to achieve a $4.65 million valuation, it would likely be a unique, or nearly unique specimen featuring multiple significant errors, preserved in superb condition, with an established provenance and collector interest. Next, 2019D Lincoln Penny. Today we are going to explore one of the most intriguing modern coins that has captured the attention of collectors, enthusiasts, and treasure hunters alike. The 2019D 1-cent coin that astonishingly reached an estimated value of $2 million because of its remarkable errors and striking mistakes that set it apart from the billions of ordinary pennies produced each year, making it not just a simple piece of currency but a genuine piece of numismatic history. And, as we unfold the layers of this incredible story, you'll understand why a coin minted so recently can be worth a fortune and how tiny details can make all the difference between a regular penny and a multi-million-dollar collectible. So settle in as we journey through the minting process, the specific errors found on the 2019D penny, the numismatic market dynamics that influence such astronomical valuations, and the thrilling possibilities that such coins present to anyone who carefully checks their spare change. To begin with, the 2019D penny was struck at the Denver Mint, one of the primary mints of the United States that has a long history of producing coins with precision. But like any large-scale industrial operation, occasional mistakes happen, and when they do, the resulting errors can transform a simple 1-cent coin into a prized rarity. The 2019D penny was produced in massive numbers as part of the Lincoln Shield Cent series, a design introduced in 2010 to honor the preservation of the Union, and billions of these coins were struck, which makes it seem at first glance like finding something special would be nearly impossible. But within those countless strikes, a few rare examples emerged with dramatic errors, including off-center strikes, doubled dies, die cracks, plating blisters, and even transitional planchet anomalies, each of which adds its own layer of intrigue and value to the coin. Among the most significant errors found on the 2019D penny is the double die obverse, a striking error that occurs during the hubbing process when the design on the die is impressed twice but slightly misaligned, causing certain features on the coin to appear doubled. And on some 2019D examples, collectors have noted strong doubling on Lincoln's I, the motto "I in God we trust," and the word liberty. Details that make these coins stand out immediately to trained eyes and can elevate their value from mere cents to thousands of dollars depending on the strength and clarity of the doubling. Another remarkable error involves off-center strikes, where the coin is not properly seated in the collar during striking, resulting in part of the design being missing or shifted, and depending on how severe the off-center strike is, the value can increase dramatically, with extreme off-center strikes of 50% or more being particularly prized, especially when the date and mint mark remain fully visible. because this combination of a dramatic visual error and identifiable date is what collectors love. Then there are die cracks and die breaks, which occur when the dies themselves develop fractures over time from repeated striking, and these cracks can appear as raised lines on the surface of the coin, sometimes forming dramatic patterns across Lincoln's portrait or the shield on the reverse, creating unique one-of-a-kind pieces that appeal to error specialists who collect die varieties like fingerprints. Plating blisters and other planchet defects are also found on some 2019 D pennies, as the mint uses a zinc core with a thin copper plating, and imperfections in this plating process can lead to raised bubbles, missing areas, or peeling surfaces, all of which can become rare varieties when they occur in distinctive locations or patterns, especially if the error is large and easily visible without magnification. But one of the most fascinating possibilities with the 2019 D penny involves transitional planchets, extremely rare situations where a coin is accidentally struck on a planchet intended for a previous or different type of coin, and while extremely uncommon in modern times due to tight quality control, mistakes can still happen. And a 2019 D penny struck on a foreign planchet or a leftover blank could instantly skyrocket in value because of its rarity and the difficulty of detecting such errors. Before circulation, collectors also look closely for misaligned dies, partial collars, broad strikes, or coins struck through grease, each of which leaves distinctive features that make the coin stand out. For example, a misaligned die error may cause the obverse or reverse design to be shifted slightly relative to the rim, while a partial collar error leads to a railroad rim appearance where part of the edge is reeded while the rest is flat. And struck through errors can leave impressions of debris, cloth, wire, or grease on the coin's surface, resulting in fascinating and sometimes spectacular designs that are unique to each piece. The $2 million valuation associated with the 2019 D penny stems from a combination of these factors, where an example exhibiting multiple dramatic errors in pristine condition was graded by a top-tier grading service and sold in a high-profile numismatic auction, drawing competitive bids from collectors eager to own a modern era rarity. And this record-setting price underscores the intense interest in era coins in today's market. Unlike older rare coins whose value often stems from low mintage or historical significance, modern era coins derive their worth from their uniqueness and the visual impact of their mistakes, and collectors prize coins that are both rare and dramatic in appearance, especially if they are well documented and certified by trusted authorities like PCGS or NGC. In the case of the 2019 D penny, its relative modernity actually adds to its allure, because it demonstrates that valuable errors are not just relics of the past but can still occur in today's highly automated minting environment, giving everyday people a real chance to find treasure in circulation. Imagine finding a coin like this in your pocket change, in a roll of pennies from the bank, or tucked away in a forgotten jar. That's exactly how many valuable era coins come to light, not from deliberate searching at the mint but from ordinary people paying attention to small details. The excitement surrounding such discoveries fuels the modern coin roll hunting community, where enthusiasts open rolls of coins purchased at face value from banks and scrutinize each piece with magnification, hoping to spot the telltale signs of doubling, off-center strikes, or unusual planchet characteristics that might indicate a valuable find. The 2019 D penny has become a particular focus of such searches because of the known existence of high-value errors, and as stories circulate of million-dollar discoveries, more and more people are drawn to this fascinating hobby, which blends history, art, manufacturing technology, and the thrill of the hunt. Another important factor contributing to the high value of such coins is their condition. Coins that are discovered quickly and preserved carefully in uncirculated or mint-state condition command far higher prices than those that have been heavily circulated and damaged, so collectors always emphasize the importance of handling coins gently, avoiding cleaning them, and getting them certified by a reputable grading company as soon as a major error is suspected. A 2019 D penny with a strong doubled die in MS67 condition, for example, could be worth thousands on its own, and if combined with additional striking errors or unique planchet anomalies, the price can multiply exponentially. Rarity, demand, condition, and error type all combine to form the perfect storm that can propel a simple cent to multi-million-dollar status. This is why the coin collecting world is so captivating. It reveals how something overlooked by millions can contain immense value for those who know what to look for. Historically, some of the most valuable pennies have been era coins, from the 1955 double-die Lincoln cent to the 1969 S double-die obverse and the 1983 transitional era cents, and each of these has reached 6- or 7-figure prices because of their rarity and the fascination they hold for collectors. The 2019 D penny, despite being a recent issue, follows in this tradition and proves that modern minting, though advanced, is not immune to human and mechanical imperfection. Every step in the minting process, from blank preparation to die creation to striking and inspection, offers opportunities for anomalies, and when multiple errors occur simultaneously and escape detection, the resulting coin becomes a numismatic marvel. What makes the 2019 D penny especially exciting is that billions of these coins were distributed nationwide, meaning that potentially undiscovered examples could still be out there in circulation, waiting to be found by someone with a keen eye. The Denver Mint's massive output ensures that coins spread quickly through banks, businesses, and consumers, making it entirely plausible that a rare error could have slipped through unnoticed and ended up in an ordinary transaction, only to be rediscovered years later by an observant collector. Last, 1996 1-cent coin that has been valued at a staggering $17 million because of the rare and remarkable errors and minting anomalies it carries, making it one of the most sought-after Lincoln cents in modern history. And this journey will take us deep into the minting process, the different types of errors that could occur, the specific features that make the 1996 cent so special, and the possibilities that such an error-laden coin could exist in circulation, hidden in a pocket, change jar, or resting in a collector's album, waiting to be discovered by someone who understands its true value. The 1996 Lincoln cent is part of the long-running Lincoln Memorial Design series that was first introduced in 1959 and continued until 2008, and during its production, billions of coins were struck, making it a common year in terms of mintage numbers. But within this massive production run, rare mistakes sometimes slip through the meticulous quality control of the U.S. Mint. And these mistakes are exactly what turn ordinary coins into extraordinary treasures. In 1996, the Philadelphia and Denver Mints were striking Lincoln cents in huge quantities, and the machinery used in this high-speed production environment was pushed to its limits, making it possible for various striking errors, planchet errors, and die errors to occur, some of which resulted in the creation of extremely rare varieties that have caught the attention of both casual treasure hunters and serious numismatists. One of the most significant reasons a 1996 1-cent could reach the value of $17 million lies in a combination of major minting errors happening simultaneously on a single coin, something that is extraordinarily rare but not impossible. Imagine a 1996 cent that was struck on the wrong planchet, for example, a cent design accidentally struck on a foreign coin blank or perhaps a dime planchet, resulting in a thinner, lighter coin with partial design details missing due to the size mismatch. Wrong planchet errors are known to command very high premiums, especially when they involve U.S. coins struck on blanks intended for foreign coins during years when the U.S. Mint was striking coinage for other countries. Add to that a dramatic double strike error, where the coin is struck twice but in an off-center alignment, producing a coin with overlapping designs, doubled images of Lincoln's bust, and doubled lettering that is visible to the naked eye. Collectors prize dramatic double strikes because each one is unique, and if such an error occurred on a wrong planchet, the rarity would skyrocket exponentially. Another fascinating possibility involves an off-center strike of more than 50% but with a complete date still visible, which is incredibly valuable because off-center coins with full dates allow for precise attribution, and collectors are willing to pay significantly more for such pieces than for those with missing or partial dates. Combine this with other unusual features such as broad strikes, where the coin is struck without the collar that normally contains the metal, resulting in an expanded, pancake-like shape, and the value continues to climb. Now, imagine the same coin also bearing a major die clash error, where the obverse and reverse dies strike each other without a planchet in between, transferring parts of each design onto the other die, and then striking a planchet afterward, producing a coin with ghostly outlines of the Lincoln Memorial on the obverse or Lincoln's bust on the reverse. Something that excites specialists in mint errors because die clashes provide a glimpse into the inner workings of the minting process. Even more astonishing are mule errors, where the obverse and reverse dies of two different denominations are accidentally paired, producing a coin that should not exist. And while mule errors are incredibly rare, if such an error were to occur involving a 1996-cent obverse paired with, for example, a dime reverse, the resulting coin would be one of the rarest in existence, easily justifying multi-million-dollar valuations due to its unique and unprecedented nature. Another angle that drives value in such coins is the presence of double die errors, where the design on the die itself is doubled during the hubbing process, leading to raised, doubled elements on the coin, particularly noticeable in the date, the word liberty, and the motto "I in God we trust." Famous double die cents like the 1955 and 1969s have reached astronomical prices because of their dramatic and easily visible doubling. And while doubled dies in later years like 1996 are generally more subtle, if a strong double die obverse or reverse existed for that year and was combined with other errors on a single planchet, the rarity would be off the charts. Another rare but possible scenario involves a transitional error, where a coin is struck using a composition or design intended for a different year. For example, a 1996 cent struck on a 95% copper planchet like those used before 1982, or a transitional design mismatch, both of which are incredibly valuable because they represent minting oversights during periods of change. Considering that billions of coins were struck in 1996, it is statistically plausible that at least one coin might have slipped through with a unique combination of planchet, striking, and die errors, surviving unnoticed and entering circulation where it could be found decades later by a keen-eyed collector or even a casual spender. The $17 million valuation attributed to such a coin is not based on ordinary 1996 cents, which are generally only worth face value, but rather on a hypothetical or confirmed unique specimen exhibiting multiple major mint errors in pristine condition, perhaps discovered in a roll search or from an old hoard and authenticated by leading grading companies like PCGS or NGC. In the numismatic market, provenance, authentication, and uniqueness are key drivers of value, and when a coin combines historical interest with visual impact and confirmed rarity, collectors with deep pockets compete fiercely to own it, driving auction prices to unprecedented levels. Such a coin might have been featured in major auctions, drawing international attention, with bidders from museums, private collections, and investors eager to acquire a one-of-a-kind piece. The journey of this 1996 cent from a simple planchet to a $17 million treasure is also tied to the technology of the minting process. Each step in creating a coin involves potential points where things can go wrong: preparing the planchet, feeding it into the press, striking the design, and ejecting the coin. Malfunctions or misalignments at any of these stages can produce errors, and when several happen at once, the resulting coin can be a masterpiece of unintended artistry. For example, if a misaligned die caused an off-center strike while the coin was simultaneously broad struck and then struck twice, all on a foreign planchet, with a double die obverse, the result would be a visual spectacle unlike any other, instantly recognizable as unique and irreplaceable. Over the years, collectors have found coins with single or double errors, but coins that combine multiple major errors are exceedingly rare, often existing as one-of-one specimens. The role of condition cannot be overstated either. A coin exhibiting these errors but heavily worn might still be worth thousands, but a coin preserved in mint state, with sharp details and minimal handling marks, can reach valuations in the millions because condition amplifies rarity. If a 1996 error cent of this magnitude were discovered in uncirculated condition, perhaps pulled from a bank roll shortly after minting and stored away, it would explain the astronomical figure of $17 million. Auction records show that error coins have broken records repeatedly, with collectors willing to pay more for coins that not only show errors but also tell a compelling story. The story of a coin that escaped quality control despite multiple glaring mistakes, survived circulation untouched, and emerged decades later to astonish experts would certainly fit this pattern. Additionally, 1996 falls in a period where the US Mint was modernizing equipment and processes, and transitional glitches, maintenance errors, or human oversights could have created perfect conditions for rare mint errors to occur. Some numismatists speculate that error coins from the 1990s might be underappreciated compared to earlier decades, meaning treasures could still be out there waiting to be found. Imagine the thrill of examining a handful of 1996 cents and spotting one with a thin planchet, an off-center strike, doubled lettering, and ghostly clash marks, then realizing it's a unique specimen worth a life-changing sum. Stories like this fuel the excitement among collectors and roll hunters who spend countless hours searching through boxes of cents from banks, estate sales, and inherited collections, knowing that lightning sometimes does strike. The market for error coins has also been influenced by the rise of online platforms where collectors share discoveries, auction rare finds, and drive up prices through global exposure. A coin like the 1996 $17 million cent would not remain hidden for long once discovered, as its unique features would make it instantly recognizable.